Hi Virgo, Trishna here. Welcome to your October 2019 love reading. So, I know that in the past few months you've been struggling in some area of your life, and I know in the past month when I started doing the love readings, I was feeling that you've been struggling in the love realm of your life in some way. And I feel like this month is like a new horizon. I feel like you have grown, and through your growth of the situation, you have gained a new perspective, a very enlightened perspective that allows you to look at your situation, whatever it is, from this higher point of view. And I'm getting the word ethereal. You have reached an ethereal state of enlightenment. It's a level of enlightenment that I don't think you ever thought you could ever achieve, and yet here you are. You have grown so much in that way. And so you have this ability to be an observer in your relationship instead of a participant in your relationship. And that's absolutely wonderful because it allows you to respond to your relationship from that enlightened perspective and deal with the drama from an enlightened perspective instead of from a very reactive perspective or an in the weeds perspective. And so I feel like you have really gotten this new perspective. You've really reached this new horizon of mentality that I think is going to truly serve you very, very well going forward. And again, you're just so enlightened right now. It's unreal just how much you have grown in your mentality and the way that you see your relationship. And I think that this will bleed over into not just your romantic relationship, but also into how you view your relationships with other people, whether it's friends or family or colleagues, etc. Now, I feel like the month of October is going to be rough. You're still in the situation that you're in for the most part. It may be a better version, but it's not necessarily in the clear. The relationship that you're in may not necessarily be where you want it to be. So the month is still going to be a little bit rough, but as long as you maintain this enlightened perspective, as long as you really try to respond to the situation from an enlightened point of view, from that observer versus from that participant, from the enlightened perspective versus the reactive perspective or approach, you're going to do well. And I'm getting that as long as you continue to operate from this new horizon that you're at, I'm getting there's no way that you can't win at some point. So the win may not be quick, but I feel like there's no way that you can't win. There's no way that this isn't going to turn into a win for you at some point, so long as you maintain this perspective that you're at. And I know it's going to be a struggle and it's not going to be easy, and some days it's going to be rough and you're not going to feel very enlightened. You're not going to feel like you're out of the situation and looking at all sides of it and able to respond in this very mature way, but do your best and try to be enlightened the majority of the time. And majority is 51%. So a little more than half. That's all you have to do to be a majority. So do that to the best of your ability, and I think that within a month and a half to maybe 2 months, you're going to start seeing the fruits of your labor. You're going to start seeing results turning in your favor. You're going to start seeing what you want begin to materialize the way that you want it to. So remember the phrase that as long as you maintain this perspective, this higher level, ethereal, enlightened perspective, there's no way that you can't win. The other thing that I'm getting is I'm getting for you to learn to trust. And I feel like you're already doing that in some ways. I feel like part of this enlightened perspective is that you have found some kind of trust. Some kind of trust. So you either trust in the relationship, maybe not the other person, but you trust in the relationship, or maybe you trust in the universe or the divine or in something else. I feel like you trust that the best can happen for you, that there's somebody watching out for you, that you are being looked over, watched over. So I feel like you have opened up, you have found some way to find peace and happiness in your situation more so than before, and you are starting to trust in the universe, and you are starting to be able to let go of the attachments that you have to the situation and the attachments that you have to believing that surface reality is the only reality. Like you're able to look beyond surface reality and see the vision that you want and believe in the vision a little more than you believe in what's in your face. And that is when manifestation truly happens. It's when you have a vision and you believe in that more 51% of the time versus 49, when you believe in your vision more than you believe in the reality that's in your face. That is when you start making those vibrational shifts. That's when the universe starts to respond to you. And that's what you're doing. I am also getting for you to start trusting, not necessarily in the other person, because people are fickle, people are reactive, they are emotional, and they aren't always working on that. They aren't always trying to grow themselves emotionally and become more emotionally mature and become less reactive. And they're not always working on themselves. So people are fickle. So you don't have to trust in the other person. And when I say trust in the other person, I'm not saying that you believe the person's untrustworthy. I feel like when I'm saying like trusting in the other person, it's trusting in their ability to be ready to make the right moves for their path. A lot of times, so we're all on a journey and our higher self has a path that it wants us to walk, which will lead us to our ultimate happiness. And some of us, when we're enlightened, when we are aware and awakened, and we are being ethereal and we are trying to see things from a mature perspective, that is when we are walking the path that our higher self wants. That is when we're on our path to happiness. But most of us are not on that. So we're sometimes on the path, sometimes we're off, sometimes we're on, sometimes we're off. And your partner is that. They're on and they're off, they're on and they're off. So they're not really walking their path. So, and I feel like their path is your path. That is a path towards the two of you being together. That is what is best right now for the two of you. And so they are on and off of that path. So that's when I say, like, you don't have to trust in your partner. I'm saying you don't have to trust in their ability to walk their path, because that's kind of in many ways up to them. What I'm saying for you to do is to trust in their soul. So people, like I was saying before, they're fickle, they can have different personality traits, they can be nice, they can be kind, but they can also have moments when they're unkind and they're not nice. And so people are fickle in that way, and so you don't have to trust in the person and their personality characteristics and their decision-making process. But you can trust in their soul, because their soul is pure, their soul is happiness, their soul is love, their soul is loving. So their soul is something that you can trust in. So pay attention to their soul more than you pay attention to the physical reality that they are showing you of who they are. So have that vision. When you have a vision for this person, focus on the soul as that vision. Don't focus on what they are showing you of who they think that they are. So I hope that this makes sense to you. So that's what I'm feeling for you is you're doing really well. You have this enlightened perspective. You are trusting in the relationship or something bigger than yourself right now, which is really good. And now it's time for you to trust not necessarily in the person and how they act, but in that person's soul and who they truly are on the inside, which is loving, and which is that inner child that we all have inside of us. The other thing that I feel like you need to know is, I feel like you need to know that you really can have whatever it is that you want out of this relationship, that it is there for you, and that's just something that I feel like you need to be aware of. So that's what I'm feeling for you for right now. I am doing extended readings for the October love readings. You can access that on my Patreon at www.patreon.com/Trishna. The link will be at the end of the video as well. In that video, I'm going to go into more of the future potentials to come, as well as any obstacles that will be on your way, and any guidance that you need to hear in order to overcome those obstacles and to make this relationship as successful as it possibly can be and as joyful as it possibly can be as well. So if you're interested in that, I will see you in my extended video. If not, thank you so much for watching. I hope I earned your like and your subscribe, and I will see you in my next video on YouTube.